The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series.
Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another comically long review. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another comically long review. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another comically long review. We've seen how things are going with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in their ongoing series. Now it's time to see how things are going to go with the Omega Rangers as they get a brand new ongoing series all to themselves. Just don't hold too closely to that themselves part just yet. You'll see what I mean as I take a look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue number 57. Power Rangers issue number 1.
Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see all of our videos.
Yeah, and make sure you got your notifications set up by hitting that little bell icon so you get notified whenever we post any brand new videos.
Right you.
What he said was that if you'd like to support the channel in any way financially, you can consider checking us out on Patreon or Ko-fi at OrangeRangerVideos.
Right you.
Do you think I've been exaggerating with the whole insane amount of variant covers thing? Yeah, Power Rangers number 1 has 23 variant covers, at least. I'm leaving out virgin variants, and in this case, slight recolors, but I will mention them. There's probably even more than that, and I'm not even sure this includes the second printing variant covers. I joke about this, but this really starts to approach excessiveness. I seriously feel for anyone who's trying to collect every cover. So I'm going to try to go about 10 seconds a cover. Listen, that's still almost 4 minutes just on the covers. The main cover features the Omega Rangers, G's glowing eyes, that massive kitty from earlier, and Drakkon in the red bolt. As you may have noticed, I got a variant for this issue as well, and it is the Legacy cover, MMPR number 57. The 3 Omega Rangers in battle stance, random slashing lines behind them. Indeed, here's the other half of that connecting cover I mentioned last time, same cover as the other half last week. There's also a brighter version. Blank cover that is weirdly the exact same pink color as Mighty Morphin number 1's blank cover. The other half of Mora's Every Ranger Ever cover, the Dark Rangers and the Wild West Rangers, featuring the White Stranger. So this is interesting. Comic Bug gets an exclusive wraparound version of Every Ranger Ever. Only MMPR Green, Omega Red and Black, MMPR Purple, Time Force Pink and Yellow, MMPR Blue, and Ninjor are colored in. Everyone else is black and white for you to color in yourself. Should I call this the drippy variant? Jason morphing into Omega Red, all drippy and paint-like. Whatever it's called, it also gets a local comic shop day foil variant. The Bohemian Rhapsody variant. The 7 MMPR holding their helmets, but Green has just put theirs on, so no knowing who that is just yet. The Art Deco cover that is the State of Comics exclusive is interesting this time. The Omega Rangers, G and Kitty in the background, but why is Drakkon with them? Very nice drawing of the Omega Rangers diving away from something. This one has a slightly darker version as well. Zordon is this pretty. Wicked Gator gets an amazing variant by Miko Suayan of Omega Red. I can pick up some time by knocking out 3 at once here. Jolzar Collectibles gets a set of the Omega Rangers in front of their coin symbols. Slab City gets Omega Red as well, Jason standing in front of a triangle. Art Germ provides the 3 Omega Rangers with their weapons in front of, like, the streaking light of the future. You get the feeling that this cover might have been intended for the other line, the Thunder Megazord with the white and green Rangers diving in front of it. Braindead Comics exclusive. Speaking of Rangers diving in front of Zords, here's the classic Green Ranger diving in front of the Dragon Zord, a Scorpion Comics exclusive. And yet another exclusive for Scorpion Comics, Lord Zed seated on his throne. And another Scorpion Comics exclusive, the White Ranger slashing up as the Tiger Zord dives down. And we wrap up with the stars of this line, the Omega Rangers, in a very photorealistic cover that is a Sad Lemon exclusive. You know, I cannot wait to one day see these suits cosplayed in real life. Oh man, come on, really? My scans are upside down! At least the Rangers are upside down. For some reason, the word balloons are right side up. Nah, the Rangers are doing some zero-G combat training, which is useful when you fight on all sorts of planets and literally in space. Zach and Jason argue about which way is up, when Trini absolutely schools them, telling them to lose their sense of direction and instead work on their sense of perception. The cost of that lesson is getting beaten around by boxes. G restores the gravity and Trini helps Jason up. Zach asks G if the big kitty still has to be around and out and about. Yes, Zach, he does. G explains that Yale here is no longer an empowered, so there's no reason to keep him contained. However, Zach is welcome to try and put Kitty back in the bottle. Jason and Trini try to calm Zach down, but he's just not feeling this cat. Guess he's a dog person. Back to Earth, back to the MMPR. Yes, this is what I was hinting at earlier. I'm sure that eventually we will see the two teams split between their two series. But for now, we're getting both teams in this one. Rocky backs up to catch a frisbee toss, hitting the water and getting tossed by a wave. But then, Jason, Trini, and Zach walk up and say... The teams happily reunite, but the Omegas say they're not paying a social visit. They've come to talk to Zordon. They show him the Imperial, though interestingly Jason calls it an Imperial, like it's one of many. They explain how it destroyed that world and killed a whole bunch of people, shocking the MMPR. However, just like G, Zordon and Alpha have no memories or records relating to an Imperial. Kim puts together that this is probably what Drakkon was running from, and the Omegas are surprised since they didn't know that Drakkon was there. Zordon explains that they have him safely locked up. Jason says they need to talk to him. They do so, Drakkon teasing them about still being Rangers and how those suits really would have looked nice in a Drakkon Evo 4 maybe? They ask him what he's running from, but he recognizes the looks on their faces and know that they've seen what he's seen. The World Ravagers, the Corruptors, the Empyreals. The plural confirms what I guess they suspected, that there is more than one. Drakkon says all he knows about them is to get as far away from them as possible. Tommy, however, says he's lying. These Empyreals... Side note, the misspelling here is a gag that really doesn't work because the two words are pronounced exactly the same. Would need to be super dangerous, or Drakkon would have no leverage to get out of his cell, right? Yes, Tommy is finally face to face with his alternate self, telling the Omegas that Drakkon can't be trusted and that they're wasting their time. Drakkon says the Imperials are more ancient than can be understood and describes how he saw one rip the red emissary in half. However, that actually leads Drakkon to agree with Tommy. This is a waste of time. The Empyreals are coming to Earth and he's going to be stuck in that cell watching the world burn.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
The Omegas make a hard pitch to Zordon. They want to take Drakkon with them. With what Drakkon knows, they might be able to track the Imperials. Of course, Zordon refuses, saying the Omegas can use all of the command center's resources, but Drakkon is the closest he's ever come to losing the entire universe, and he's not going to risk that again. Zordon says that they are no longer Mighty Morphin Rangers. Actually, he says they are no longer Power Rangers, which once again isn't true. They are Power Rangers, they're just not Mighty Morphin ones. So he can't control them, but he does control Drakkon, and he's staying. Everyone heads to the juice bar to relax, Ernie a little creepily excited to see them again. Funny gag here. Are those the Power Rangers? Oh, nope. It's just the 3 greatest kids in the world, back in Angel Grove where you belong. As Ernie greets the 3, Bulk, Skull, and Candace watch, Skull explaining who the 3 are. Candace, who we now know is actually an Eltarian in disguise, quietly says, "Welcome home," while glaring at them. Jason and Rocky spar, at first just talking about what Jason's been doing. Rocky excitedly mentions the new Green Ranger, the surprise letting him land a hit on his mentor. Zach and Adam talk with Ernie, Zach waxing with the peace conference excuse. Ernie asks Zach what it's like in a way that lets Zach tell the truth, just vaguely enough to match his excuse. Different food, different customs, but we all do what we do for the same reasons, mainly trying to feel safe. Kim tries to get Trini to stay, saying Zordon and Alpha will help, and they can get Drakkon to tell what he knows from the safety of his cell. Trini would love that, but says there are people to rescue out on other worlds. Aisha basically says, hey, you have all that technology, what do you need Drakkon for? But none of that technology is working to track the Empyreals, hence asking Zordon. When Trini frustratedly points out what a dead end that was, Tommy calls her on it, what a threat Drakkon is, and how if he escaped and hurt people, that would be on the Omega's conscience. Trini comes firing back about how people are going to get hurt if they don't do anything, so whose fault is that? She was there. She saw this thing having wiped out an entire planet. 12 million people died. She feels like they have to do anything they can to keep that from happening again. Tommy is sympathetic, but says you don't sacrifice an entire universe for one world.
The needs of the many outweigh
the needs of the few.
Trini says maybe so, but there are many worlds out there, and not all of them are so fortunate as to be protected by a team of Power Rangers. This is really my favorite part of the issue because it's one of the things that Boom has done best with the Power Rangers franchise. Taking these little, quiet, small, understated, not quite filled in, dangling plot thread, etc. story moments, and making amazing story from them. Jason and Rocky keep training together, Jason complimenting Rocky's talents at fighting. He's glad to hear that, since he figured that Jason might be disappointed in him. Jason can't imagine why. The planet's in one piece, he must be doing something right. And here it is. When Jason was the Red Ranger, he was the leader. When Grace was the Red Ranger, she was the leader. Heck, when they went to that color swapping planet, Trini was the Red Ranger, and she was the leader. The Red Ranger is the leader. But not Rocky. Rocky is a Red Ranger that isn't the leader. Jason points out the Omegas are on Earth because they have no mentor and no clue what to do next. So if he's leading the Omegas as the Red Ranger, he's not doing a fantastic job of it. He tells Rocky that his color doesn't define his role on the team. Jason doesn't care if Rocky leads the MMPR. He is protecting Jason's family in Angel Grove for nothing in return. So what Rocky is hearing is that he's not a failure and he's a better fighter than Jason.
Not so fast, midget!
The teams part ways outside the juice bar. The Omegas aren't going back to their houses, since it would be a little tough to explain flying all the way from Switzerland and staying for one weekend. So they're going to stay on the Spectrum while they're there at Earth. The MMPR leave, making plans for the next day. The Omegas talk about what a fun day that was reuniting with their friends. So, are we going to break Drakkon out or what? At the command center, Alpha finishes his duties for the night. Zordon asks if Alpha thinks he did the right thing. Alpha believes so, and Zordon says that he'll invite the Omegas to come back the next day and try to find a compromise. Alpha goes to bed, for lack of a better term, activating the more intense security procedures, laser grids, flying drones, etc., etc. G teleports the Omegas into a closet, quite frankly insulted at Jason's question if they were detected. They step out, starting a quick and quiet operation. They go radio silent, do some flips, and use their weapons to flip through an opening in the laser grid to turn it off. Some of the flying drones float by, but they duck into a vent to avoid them. Dude, I just saw red, black, and yellow vent in the hall near security. 3 imposters! They find a locked door with another grid on it. Trini can turn the beams off, but needs a key for the door. Jason tries his sword. Works like a charm, and they enter Drakkon's cell. There's apparently also a containment field, and Drakkon is wearing what's basically an inhibitor collar. Drakkon compliments Jason, calling him his favorite, and saying depending on how fast their ship is, he can take them somewhere far away from the threat of the Empyreals. But no, Jason says, he's going to help them find them. Welcome to the Omega Rangers. Drakkon does want out of the cell, but says if they're not running, he's not going to be very cooperative. Jason promises if he tries that, he'll push him out the nearest airlock, planet or no planet. Drakkon realizes that Jason is desperate and doesn't really know what he's doing. Jason says Drakkon will now get a chance to make up for all the harm that he's done. I just remembered that Grace talked to Drakkon about redemption fairly recently. Apparently the Omegas weren't quite radio silent on this one, as Alpha finds them with more drones. The Omegas try to talk him down, but he takes his duty to guard Drakkon seriously. He knows the Omegas are acting on what they think is best, but he must serve Zordon, and his decision on the matter was final. The Omegas won't budge, but neither will Alpha. Drakkon, however, finds stalemates boring, so he punches Alpha in the head, saying if this is gonna work, the Omegas are gonna have to learn to get their hands dirty.
A boot to the head.
Jason dematerializes his helmet for some reason, telling Drakkon that Alpha is off limits. Drakkon isn't impressed, saying Alpha will be fine. He's not responsive now, however, and Drakkon says that reinforcements should be on their way. Zordon's tube appears down below.
Excuse me, the f did you just say?
Yeah, I've been meaning to say, I don't really get this. We do remember the whole trapped in a time warp thing, right? It just strikes me as kind of weird, even though we have seen this in previous issues, that Zordon can just kind of hop around the command center wherever he wants to be. Anyway, he finds Alpha, who is slowly starting to become responsive. Jason waited there, telling Zordon that Trini said Alpha's neural net is scrambled, but the damage is not permanent. He swears to bring Drakkon back when the Empyreals have been dealt with. Zordon is pissed, betrayed by his former hand-picked leader. If Zordon has hands. Anyway, he promises that if Jason takes Drakkon, he will send everything at his disposal after them. Jason is not fazed, telling Zordon that his way is not the only way, and that his view has become limited by only being on Earth. He does apologize, though, as he leaves. The last page is weird. I guess this is a reflection of the fact that this is the real start of this new series. A shot of the Spectrum, and then a lineup shot of the Omega Rangers, G, Yale, and Drakkon standing in front. This is a very emotional issue. I really enjoyed the contrast between the bonding time, the downtime that these two teams got to spend together, And then the Omegas immediately realizing that they're now going to have to betray their friends and their former mentor to free their enemy and take him to go try and save the universe. This is a classic case where neither side is wrong, and it was just the Omegas who were able to succeed at what they thought they had to do. You might notice that not only does this issue not have a monster, the villains aren't featured at all. My only real criticism is that I feel like the legacy cover that I got for this issue should have been the reality, and that applies to Mighty Morphin #1 as well. These should have been issue 56 and 57 of MMPR, the last two issues of that line as it were. Then these two brand new ongoings would be starting with the teams in actually different places telling two separate stories. As it stands, these don't really feel like premieres. They're undercut by just being the ongoing story told in a different place. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue number 57, aka Power Rangers #1, gets a 4 out of 5. Next, Time. On a comically long review, time will be the topic. Shortly after the defeat of Rancic, Jen Scotts and Wes Collins continue to date across time. But when a Dark Ranger shows up to put an end to their tryst, can love really conquer all? Find out when I review the Power Rangers Time Force graphic novel, Sins of the Future. And that is going to wrap up another comically long review. Heroes, thank you so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this issue, as well as my review of it. And while you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button and let me know that you enjoyed this video. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. Wicked Gator gets an amazing variant by Miko Swan... Ooh boy. Can knock out 3... yeah. Back on Earth. Back to the MMPR. Yeah, this is what I was hinting at earlier. Oh, God. They ask him what he's running from, but he recognizes the look... Candace, who we now know is actually Ernie asks what's it like... Ernie asks what's it like... Drakkon is basically wearing what's an inhibitor color. Drakkon is wearing what's basically an inhibitor collar. Drakkon I'm doing that again because... My only real issue is that I feel like the cover that I got for this should be how things actually are. And that applies to Mighty Morphin #1 last week as well. I don't know why though.